Al-Bukhari, number 1231. Narrated Abu Huraira, Allah's Messenger said, when the call for salat, prayer, is made, Satan takes to his heels passing wind, so that he may not hear the Adhan. Sunan an-Nasai, number 671. It was narrated from Abu Huraira that the Prophet said, when the call for prayer is given, the Shaytaan takes to his heels passing wind loudly, so that he will not hear the call to prayer.
That's an interesting question. I mean, I think most of the things that are subject to misunderstanding today were probably also subject to misunderstanding previously. I think it's generally pretty consistent. I think maybe just a lot of the imagery in the hadiths. I mean, one example I give in some of my books is this idea that in the Sahih Bukhari there's a hadith that when the devil hears the adhan, he flees wallahu durat, and he flees farting. Literally means he flees farting, right? And I think this actually there's some Muslims who read this in India in the early 20th century. This shocked them so much they actually, like the Quran only movement, people hear the Quran only movement. This actually started because of exactly that hadith like that and several other hadiths that people just got shocked by it. It just seemed stupid and silly and ridiculous to talk like that. And I think that when I read it, it was interesting because I never had that reaction because I spent a lot of time riding horses in my life. And I knew exactly what this was talking about because when you have a horse, you don't see this in movies or TV shows because it's stupid. But when you take a horse and it goes from standing still to bolting, running really fast, it will 99 out of 100 times it will fart really loudly, 1 or 2 or 3 times with each push of its hind legs. This is just completely normal. And so that was the image that came into my mind. And if you're around animals, that image wouldn't be a problem. But I think if you're you live in an urban setting and this isn't part of your life, I think you'd be shocked by that. It seems silly, but so I think that some of the life of the Prophet, the idea, for example, for us, like we can't conceive of our children dying. I mean, it's painful, but the idea that your child could die and you wouldn't just immediately crumble to the ground and never recover for the rest of your life. And the Prophet's children died, and they were sad, but they went on with their lives. They were able to. I mean, so for the majority of human history up until the early 20th century, even into the 20th century, it was completely normal for people to have very high level of infant mortality. And nowadays, because if you're well off in the United States, you can expect that most of your children are going to survive, at least for several years. I mean, I think we live in a very specific time in history now. And even things like disease, death, the reality of life with animals, life with agriculture, that's become distant to us now.
I think we have to humanize that period after the Prophet ﷺ lived with the Sahaba. You have to humanize it in the sense that the Prophet ﷺ spoke the language of the Arabs. He lived their cultures, and he adopted it fully. And some of those expressions are just how the Arabs spoke. This is how the Arabs spoke. And as Imam Shatibi rahmatullahi ta'ala said, إن رسول الله إن هذه الشريعة بعثت بمعهود الأميين, that this Sharia had been sent with the habits and customs of the illiterate people of Arabia. And unless we have a window on the culture, unless we can really, instead of just looking at the hadith completely detached from all of that, or the action of the Sahaba detached from that, or the action of the Prophet ﷺ detached from that culture, they won't make sense to us, or we'll struggle a lot to make them make sense to us. So it is important to humanize that experience.
I'm going to add my own theory, take it or leave it. And this is not a fact, this is my theory, my understanding of my own understanding of the Quran and Sunnah and my own interactions with this species. In my humble opinion, it is as if the jinn have been created from what we call energy, what physicists call energy. They are on the energy spectrum. And this demonstrates when non-Muslim ghost hunters, if you see the documentaries or TLC channel, whatever, right? When they go to a house and they want to see are there any haunted spirits, what do? And these are people that have never studied the Quran and Sunnah. They don't believe in the Quran and Sunnah. But experience has taught them that you can detect on the electromagnetic scale, you can detect on these, they have their counters that have energy readings in them, right? And also, other things prove this as well. And if you look at the characteristics of the Quran and Sunnah, of the jinn, these are the characteristics of energy. Going at the speed of light, not having a particular form, right? Being able to do, going through walls, as we will talk about in a while. This is energy. Our radio waves right now, our internet, our phone waves. They're coming through the walls here. There's a type of energy on the spectrum. And therefore, if you look at Marijim min nar, nar is samum, what exactly is lightning? It's a type of energy. Right? So Allah knows best. This is my interpretation, my understanding. And also, not to give you, by the way, I'm not going to give you too many horror stories. I don't want to do that. If you, those of you who came for that, I'm sorry, but this is not the campfire jinn night where we smoke marshmallows and we have the campfire jinn stories. We'll do that maybe sometime for the young men and women so that they can be really scared, but not right now, inshallah. But in the course of the lecture, I'll give a few stories here and there. So of the modern things that we know of is that there are unexplained lights that many cameras have captured around the world. And this is a well-known phenomenon. You find it on YouTube all the time. And you look at these things, and sometimes once in a while it'll even make local news networks, right? That there was a strange light over this restaurant, and the camera captured it, and they put it on the local news station. If there's nothing else to show, they might as well show something like this. And you see this, I mean, it's in this land and in other lands. And when you look at these things, by and large, what are they? They're orbs of light, just floating around here and there, and they just pause here, go there, and then they just go away. And therefore, the camera is capturing a spectrum of energy, which is light. It's capturing something like this, and then we as human beings are aghast. What is this? But in reality, it's nothing. It's simply, wandering jinn, whatever, and it does not realize it's being videotaped or whatnot. And therefore, the camera captures this. All of this kind of adds, if you like, credence to the fact that the jinn are a type of energy. But if you want to stick to the Quran and Sunnah, the Quran and Sunnah says, Marijim min nar and nar is samum, which in reality is also energy, because what is fire and what is lightning other than a type of energy? But nonetheless, this explains certain things.
وكتبه ورسله محمد رسول الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله Allah is the creator of heaven and of earth. Nothing may compare with him, he is the one alone. The prophets, best of humankind, sent to all nations and all tribes. Last of all Muhammad, mercy to the world. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. محمد رسول الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله Formed of light and beauty, the angels of the Lord, to praise Allah, to help mankind, Jibreel brings the word. The scriptures all by Allah sent, Torah, Psalms and Gospel, then the source of perfect guidance, the glorious Quran. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. The reckoning